Let's get into it. Look, moving different, you know I'm already custom made. Said you wanna play with me, there's just a different game. Trying to make it to the end, it's just a crazy maze. Here for the long, you know I'm about to make a play. I'm coming stronger, getting bigger, just a different day. 2020, tunnel vision, know I'm here to stay. Told my mama I had to leave, she prayed for better days. When I came back home, was loving all the praise. Keep the real ones around, not only fuck with apes. Now we banging on the chest just like a bathing ape. Now we getting all this money, never go astray. Just know I'm grinding to the top until I get the fame. It's more than the fame, I want the respect. I wanna show the world I can give it my best. Okay, post-traumatic stress just be keeping me pressed. Almost all my brothers died, now I'm paying the debt. It's like that. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Brothers in the Deep End. We're back at it again for another season, new episodes and new content. We want to thank everybody who's been tuning in, commenting, showing love. You know, I know we've been gone for a little bit. You know, we've been revamping, you know, really working on ourselves, making sure we give you guys the best quality content, everything. Boom, bow. So we just want to say thank you guys for everything so far. You know, we've been doing a really, really big transition in our page and just our brand in general. And we want you guys to understand that you guys are now part of this community that we are trying to build. So Brothers in the Deep End is no longer just going to be a podcast. It's a community. We want people to network. We want people to get to that next level so people are able to grow. Today, we have this really, really awesome story. So, you know, with every story that we have on this podcast, everything's always going to be great. Everything's always going to be amazing. It's always going to be nice tragedy over triumph. And, you know, that's something that we always focus on in this podcast, especially when we have any guest on this. So today, we have a special guest with us, and his name is Vince.
What's up, guys?
And, you know, I think for anyone who's out there, I think a lot of us could relate to his story. And I think in terms of where we are currently in the world, a lot of people could relate to his story. So we're going to dig deep into his story. We're going to jump into the deep end with Vince today. And, you know, I think for everyone who's out there listening, you know, we always say this, if we can change one life, that's all that matters to us. And we want you guys to really soak up this information. We want you guys to comment. We want you guys to really be involved with not just me and Ethan's story, but with our guest story as well. So feel free to leave feedback on what you guys think. And hopefully he can change your life and give you guys some advice if you guys are still in the deep end. So let's jump into this.
Okay.
So
let's go.
No, so I just want to say, man, like, thank you for coming onto the podcast. We really want to appreciate it.
Thank you guys for inviting me.
No, we really appreciate your time coming here and everything. So just start us from the beginning, you know, how you got to where you are now. But let's go back to the beginning, all the way back to the basics. How was your childhood? Where you're from? Because I know we spoke a little bit, you know, before we hopped into this. You're not from America. Tell people where you're from. Tell people how you were living.
I was born in the Philippines, and I came here at the age of 13. And fresh off the boat, man. Fresh off the boat. You know, me, my mom, and my two sisters, we got here, and everything was new. Everything was new. You know, my one experience was first thing when we got here to the airport, JFK, the sliding door closed.
Yeah.
And my mom said, "Oh my God, we're locked in." And I said, "No, Mom, we're not locked in. They let us out." And the next thing you know, she was like, "Oh my God, thank God we didn't get locked in." And that was the first experience already. And that right there was eye-opening, you know, that the world's bigger than we thought. So.
Absolutely. So like from that perspective, right? So like coming from, you know, where you're from, do you think there's obviously like a big technological gap? Because I think that's pretty interesting.
Yes.
How was like your day-to-day life back in
the Philippines? They were definitely like delayed. That you know, that time, 1993, we were probably like 10, 15 years delayed, you know, technology-wise. So everything was natural. We were playing on the streets, you know, we had, you know, TV and VHS, but we didn't really use it.
Yeah.
We didn't really use it.
You guys were fun doing the simple things.
Right. We were climbing coconut trees, mango trees. That was fun for us. You know what I mean? Playing on dirt, that was fun for us. But when we got here, it was definitely it was a different world. It was a different world. There was a lot of cars over there. There was a lot of cars at that time, but you know, everything was walking distance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I was gonna say, so what are some differences that you see, and what were some issues did you have, at least like growing up in the Philippines? Like what were some difficulties, I should say, at least living in the Philippines compared to obviously where you live now?
Now, just living situation. You know, a lot of people in the Philippines struggle just day-to-day basis, having a meal. You know, we were fortunate enough. My dad was, working for Pepsi at that time, so he was able to provide for us, 3 meals, 4 meals a day. But some of the people that our neighbors, our poor neighbors, were doing 1 meal a day. 1 meal a day, no slippers. They were walking around, no t-shirts, shorts. So that was, when we got here, the first thing we had was Roy Rogers. I was like, wow,
that's crazy.
There was so much food. I was like, so much food. And then we were just grateful to have an American food at that time. I was like, this tastes good. So I can eat this every day.
I want to say even when we spoke like prior to this, you were telling us a little bit about like your experience, and I think something that really, really stood out to me was saying how, sometimes people over there, since poverty is a really big issue, you were talking about how some people either had to decide to get a meal for the family or provide medicine for your kid to live. And I think that's something it blows my mind because and here in America, it's so easy.
It is easy.
A lot of us, I shouldn't say easy, but it's a lot more accessible for people to take, and like you can get food and you can get medicine, and like you don't have to possibly make those choices.
We went back on 2017, and I collected a few boxes and just regular aspirin, old antibiotics. I collected aspirin, kids Tylenol, because with that being said, it's hard to come by. A person's daily pay rate is 300 pesos, and 300 pesos would be probably like $6.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then one antibiotic tablet is 150 pesos. So 150 pesos is already half a day's work. So what's the whole? What do you want to do? You want to feed your whole family for 300 pesos, or buy 2 tablets for your kid who has an earache or has an infection somewhere in the body. So it's a sacrifice. You got to choose.
Were there times where you felt that your family had to make that choice, or you always felt like you guys were grateful enough?
We were grateful enough. We were okay. We were able to afford. My mom had to borrow money here, borrow money there, but we were blessed enough we could borrow money and pay them back.
Yeah, you said a key thing, and we're gonna get into it. It's the sacrifices, and that's a big theme of your story, of all of our stories, and everyone's stories out there. Is sacrifices, and the sacrifices you make. Bob said this in one of the episodes, like, it's about the choices you make and the sacrifices. Like, everything you do is a compound, like, it compounds, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes you gotta sacrifice certain stuff, and you gotta go a different direction. You gotta make that choice. And it's about, all right, do I wanna go to choice A or choice B?
Yeah.
And then, choice A may seem good, but you may need to sacrifice that for the greater good in choice B. I mean, yeah. Oh, I'm talking heavy right now. I had to catch myself because I was talking crazy.
That was deep.
I was like, oh shoot, I caught myself in my own world.
So I was gonna say, so even moving forward into your story, right? It's funny how you almost have like that "Welcome to America" moment.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Like, So it's almost like a movie moment, like the way you explained it. So when you first arrived here, what did you guys do? So did you guys have a plan beforehand, or you guys just came here and said, "All right, I'm going to look for a place to live, work"? So where did you live? How did you get all
we
that
actually, thank God, my aunt was here back in the '60s, and my grandma and my grandpa. So we got to live with them for quite a while. And the first thing I wanted to see was the basement. Because it's like because every movie, every kid's movie, like, oh, this basement is so great.
Yeah.
So we went to the basement, and there was a bunch of cats, a bunch of clothes my grandma collected for the Philippines, because in the Filipino community, it's like old clothes you never throw out. You have to collect it to pass it down to our family members, because, like I said, a T-shirt could be God knows how much.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It goes a long way. So we always collect old clothes, old shoes, and then we put them in a box and we send them away. We send them back to our family members. So that would be like a Christmas gift.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure to them, like, that was just
they're grateful.
Mind blown.
Yeah, they're grateful.
So,
they get a Nike sneakers, probably 10 years old. They'd be like, oh, this is so great. I'm wearing a Nike.
Yeah. And that's why I say, like, on your words that you live like someone of the greatest. And I got humbled with I thought it was bad in here in America for some reason, just like every other American. Like, you see certain stuff like homeless people, this, that, and the fourth, and you're walking around and you're like, damn, they got it like bad. But then when I went like out the country, so when I went to Mexico, like I was like, whoa, they got it 10 times worse. Like I took a lot of things in America for granted. Like,
yeah, we do.
like Uber Eats, like, you know,
A bottle of water.
Yeah, a bottle of water.
The
stuff we eat, our tap water, just everything gave me a lot of perspective and like clarity. And I was like, whoa, in America, like we really got it good. We really live in the dream, and we got like take the most out of this place that we're in right now in America. And when I came back, I was much more humbled and just thankful because I'm like, yo, like to be honest, like I'm like, oh, we low key like made it, and people wish that they could be in my position, whether it's domestically or internationally. Like they wish they could be in my spot. Like I'm living in New York City, Brooklyn. Like, come on now.
No, it's so funny you said that, but a lot of Filipinos, even some of my cousins, they're nurses and doctors. They can't come here because of visa. So it's hard to get a visa just to get in. So in the Philippines, you could be a nurse with bachelor's degree or whatever degree you have. You work in a McDonald's for 10,000 pesos, which is probably like $400, $400 or like $500 a month. And you don't get paid every 2 weeks. It's every month.
Oh.
So with that being said, so for example, by the second week of the month, you're broke. Guess what? What are you gonna do? Well, Ethan, let me 10,000 pesos. And guess what? Before you even get paid, your money's already gone. So now you're in debt deeper and deeper and deeper as the years go.
Yeah, and I think to Ethan's point too, like I can also relate to that and even to your story. So like obviously the people who've known, but like now you know, but when I deployed to Afghanistan, it was definitely a humbling experience for me, especially because it was a combat deployment. So I really got to see like that part of the world and how people were living. And, you know, I think me living in America my whole life, I think I got extremely comfortable and I got a little complacent. And, you know, I started even to complain, I think, about the small things like, oh, I'm stuck in traffic. Right. Jesus, like, you know, but like over there, there's no traffic because people have to walk miles for their food. People have to walk miles for water. There's no clean water there. You know, there's a lot of corruption. So coming back home for me, when I came back home, it really just made me appreciate everything I had in America so much more because a lot of people just don't understand that we have it so much more easier than a lot of people, you know? And then everyone might not say, you know, everyone has their own opinion. We might not be the best. Some people we might be, but I can definitely say, like, as an American here, we have so much opportunity and I think we should all be a lot more grateful for what we have, especially if you get to see how the rest of the world is living.
Yeah, for real.
We definitely do.
So fast forward, Vincent, like now you're in the States, growing up, talk about it. What your family doing? What's like the life story of like Vincent, like growing up in America?
Growing up in America.
Went to school, I assume,
I
too.
grew up in Sunset. So, you know, it was, Sunset 51st Street, you know, 90s.
Street.
Right. So 90s. So that was right there. I was like, well, this is the hood. This is not the hood. You know, a lot of people are like, this is the hood. But in the Philippines, compared to the Philippines, the hood is where you're rocking nothing on your feet.
Right, and it's much more treacherous.
Right, definitely. You know,
so even like just a visualization of that, like how does the quote unquote hood look in the Philippines?
Literally, there's drug dealers like just like here. Yeah. But it's a lot more rougher. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You go to a certain part of Cebu, which is where my island's from. I'm from, and you can't go a certain part because you will get stabbed because you're not from that area.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You will get robbed.
Have you seen anything like crazy like in front of your eyes?
No, thank God I did. Thank God I did. Oh. My mom definitely protected me as growing up.
No,
you know, kept me safe with my family and the certain, you know, the area that I was living in. But other than that, but here it was just like everybody. To be honest with you, you have a quarter. Growing up in the 90s, I was like, all right, cool, a quarter and $1. Shit, I could buy chicken noodle soup, and that's what we did.
Buy some chips.
Yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah. So I was like, where did you go to school and everything? You lived in Sunset.
In Dewey, in 42nd Street and 4th Avenue. That was definitely, you know, I went from a student in the Philippines, 6th grade, because I left there 6th grade, and I got skipped to 7th grade, and then I went straight to 8th grade. And from there, it was just downhill from there.
So was there, when you first got here and you were in school, was there like a language barrier between you and a lot of the students? Did you speak English when you came to America, or did
I spoke a little English when it came to America, but the thing was in the Philippines, my first dialect is Cebuano, which is our capital language is Tagalog. So English was our third language. Yeah. So we did learn English, but it was it was limited because you know we didn't speak it, so we spoke our own native tongue. Yeah. So it was a little barrier. You know, the first thing I hanged out with a bunch of kids in my block, good friends of mine now. They're like, "Oh shit, Jackie Chan." right off the bat. Right off the bat.
Not them coming at you right now.
Nah, I'm finna call him Jackie Chan.
They don't got to do you like that.
That did me hard.
Come
I
on.
was like, God damn. So, but it was cool. It was all love. It was all
Yeah.
love.
And your family was really supportive of you when you went to school and everything like that.
My
Like,
mom was a little scared. Like every parent.
Of
is,
course.
They fear for the kids' safety.
and
that's
so like
all.
growing up and like going to school and doing all these things right in America. So just growing up, before we get into like you when you're older, what was like your biggest challenge as a child and as a teenager growing up in America?
You know what? I honestly didn't have, because my mom is a very friendly person, an open person, so I didn't really struggle at that part. I was very friendly. I hanged out with a lot of kids. I hanged out with most of my friends from the block, and I played ball. I played basketball. So with that being said, that was easy going because everybody on the block was playing basketball with no rim, just in a garbage can. Garbage cans. So that was easy.
And I think exactly what you said is the perfect example, I think, of what me and Ethan always talk about on this podcast, how foundation is extremely important, I think, to the upraising of anyone.
Yeah.
I think if you have a solid foundation, regardless of where you are, good or bad, you can really change your life and the people around you if you really like stay on the straight path with the people who are there to support you.
You missed another thing. Perspective. Everything is about perspective. If you notice, like, his perspective in the Philippines, right? Like, he was just grateful to have anything he could be. He knew where to go, where not to go. He knew how to live life. He knew about love. And he was just open to the world. When he came to America, he had that same perspective, was just grateful, and it just opened his eyes, right? And that's the key thing just with anything and anywhere, right? Is the perspective that you have is key. So whatever it is that you're going through in life, right now, whoever's listening, like, you have to put your story into perspective. Like, hearing his upbringings, right? Someone out there in the Philippines, India got it way worse than you wish they could be in your spot, or someone right next to you on the train. You never know. And you just got to count your blessings and just be grateful for the position that you are, because it's only going to get better from here. And I didn't believe that quote that my dad told me, like, better days are ahead, when he was in the hospital, because I'm like, I don't see no better days. I don't see no better days without you here with me. But they really did come, and more better days keep on coming for me. So I just want to send a little motivational tip for those out there, because the light is on the way. The light's on me. God is always shining his light on you. And this is what Brothers in the Deep End about. And I know I'm bringing this way back and I'm going real deep. But Casey said, we've been kind of busy in the intro, I told Casey, Brothers in the Deep End is no longer a podcast. It's a community. We for the people. Yeah. Everyone's a part of Brothers in the Deep End. You can learn something from us, and you're a part of us. We're all in this together. Brothers, sisters, it don't matter. And we're all about just being there for one another and just spreading a real message about what we're going through in our daily lives and what we're really living, and just knowing that we all normal. We all got anxiety. We all got problems. But I'm going to give you my perspective out of how I go through it, because I'm just like you. I'm no better. I'm no lesser. We're on the same page, and we're going to continue to be great. And I'm just, I'm on something right now, man. And so I want to bring that, like, to you, Vincent, right? So, like, right, we going through our upbringings, like, what was one of those, like, moments where life hit you, right? So things are going good and where life just, boom, like, smacked you, where you had that adversity, because what's that one thing that defines you? Because I feel like a lot of us out there want to get that story, like, whenever we get on a pod or something, I'm going to tell them about when I went through X, Y, and Z, because the world needs to know about this. This is what defines me. So what defines you?
When my mom died, that's when everything crashed. Everything was perfect to me. I was working for the fire department for 15 years in EMS, and I was very comfortable. I was very comfortable with my life. And my mom was a healthy person, and all of a sudden, within 3 weeks, she died. 4 years ago. So that was a pain. I witnessed death in EMS, daily. Somebody dying, somebody going to die, but someone that you love dies in front of you. I witnessed mom dying, took her last breath, and that changed me. That definitely changed me. Pain changed me. I was numb for a little while, because I had to carry so much weight. I had to carry my sister's weight. I had to carry my son's weight. I had to carry the whole family's weight. So with that being said, I didn't have time to grieve. So it just, for me, I just kept going and going and going. It just nonstop. But at the same time, pain changed me. Because, you know, I was so comfortable with Mom, I got stuck in fire department. I didn't want to grow anymore. I was like, you know what, 15 years, I got 10 years left. That's it. I'm good. I could retire. I could do whatever I want to do. But I was just stuck. I didn't want to go anywhere. But when my mom died, that changed me. You know, unfortunately, she died with regrets. You know, she had a lot of, you know, she got her bachelor degrees on medical lab technician. But at the same time, she never used it. You know what I mean? She never used it because she was too busy taking care of us, taking care of her kids, you know, she forgot about taking care of herself. She's taking care of my dad. You know, if my dad was home, he would have 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snack. You know, she totally forgot about her dreams and the places that she wants to go to, you know, and that's what it was. She literally died with regrets. You know, I wish I could have done this more. You know, and that's what she told me a few months before she died. She's like, you know what, son, I wish I did. I wish I could have visited my best friend in California, you know, for a week or two, you know, but I can't because your dad wants me here. You know, she had a choice, but she chose to stay home. And I get it. You know, she loved us, but at the same time, she could have just taken that step and said, you know what, I'm going to do what I want to do. Mm-hmm. You know, do what I love to do.
And that was so powerful and deep, and it's crazy. Everything's coming full circle.
I got goosebumps right now.
Because what I said earlier, I said sacrifices, and we're gonna get onto that. And you said she didn't make those choices. She didn't take that leap of faith. Yeah. She didn't sacrifice her comfort. No, and even what you said, like I was comfortable, and then boom, that event happened, and then I just had to sacrifice what I was doing, that comfortable and safety net, and just go all money in, dive off the deep end without a life jacket, like Nip said, and just go for it all because life is short.
Too short.
It's not promised, right? And every minute is not refundable. A day is not refundable. You gotta make the most out the present. You gotta be able to live in the present, live in the moment, and get after it, and also have a long-term perspective. And that's one thing I had to work on. I had a lot of anxiety because I wasn't here. And sometimes it catches up to me, and I'm not here right now. I'm in a whole other world, but I got to embrace right now because right now, today, if you're listening, whatever time zone you in, whatever day it is, like
whatever world you're in,
whatever, it's a blessing because you got life, you got a voice, you could hear. If you're hearing this, you could hear. Like not many people could hear this, and they might not have the blessing of like tuning into this episode or getting these gems. And with your mother, like I could relate to that whole thing because you said pain changed you. And I tell people that pain can change you either two ways. Yeah. It's either going to change you for the better or for the worse. Yeah. But don't go down a path where it changes you for the worse because it's so much easier to go down that wrong path. Yeah. It's easy to just be an asshole. It's easy to be mean. It's easy to...
Listen, it's easy to take an L. Like, you know what? That's it. I give up in life.
Yeah.
And this is where, you know, in EMS, I called EDPs, emotionally disturbed person, and we will go in and then talk to these people, and they would like, you know, this is my 8 personality. He's talking right now, and I'm like, damn, you know, and in my mind, I'm like, damn, what made you hit that wall, and you know, started creating a world that doesn't exist.
Of trauma,
right? Trauma. So with that being said, you know, the world that we live in, it was too hard for them, so they started creating a world that they can create whatever they want. Stories they want, they hear voices, they hear this, they have personalities, they have this. It's a lot. It's a lot. And when people hit a wall, don't let that fool you. Don't let that, you know, just get up, man.
When you hit a wall, you gotta knock the motherfucker down. Fuck all that. You gotta knock the motherfucker down. You gotta face that shit and break it. And that's every day. And that's what it is in the gym. Like me and Vincent, we're trainers, right? But my philosophy when I train, I don't know Vincent's philosophy. I know he loves to have fun and push it. He's a dog. I'm a dog too, but my philosophy with my clients is like, every time I step in that gym or whenever I'm doing something fitness related or what the case may be, it's time for me to get uncomfortable. So the mirror, the mirror, right? The man I'm facing in that mirror, I have to get uncomfortable and break whatever I have, psych whatever I have, that comfortability, that anxiety, that nervousness, that stagnant attitude. I have to face in the face and just say F all that and just, you know, tap in with myself, tap in and just break that barrier, boom, and win against me, win against the person, win against that person in the mirror, right? Break that wall down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I have to ask this question, if you don't mind sharing. But
Hold up. Casey, you gotta ask. Hold up. I got you. Hold that thought. And I also want to relate with Vincent when he talked about like how he seen his mother like pass right in front of him, take the last breath. Like, you know, everyone grieves different, and I can't relate, but I can't relate because I remember I saw my grandpa like pass right in front of me, and then like it didn't really hit me because like it was more like I wasn't there, but I was there. I was in person, but like I wasn't there. If you get what I'm saying, I was outside my body, my frame, and I was seeing my mother's reaction, my whole fam's, and I was just like stuck and like frozen. And I was like, holy shit, you know what I'm saying?
What do I do?
Yeah. And then
how do I react?
Right. And the death that really numbed me was my father's, because that was the first that was my world, it was my everything, and I got numb. And then that happened, and then more friends and family started to pass away, and I really got numb. But it was like, and then like I had a lot of pain inside me, bro, and I had to just release it. And my light, my therapy was God and working out. And it took me so long to overcome it. It took me, I mean, I still fight it to this day, but it took me about like 5 years, and I'm finally tapping in with myself. I'm on a whole new level.
You know what? The best way to get over that hump is talk about their life. You know, celebrate their life, and then that's what I do every day. You know, I'm in the gym. I share my mom's world. You know, I share her experiences. I share her laughs. I share her pain, because with that being said, she'll keep living. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because she's living through you. And that's one thing my aunt told me, and people were telling me, like, just continue living, and that's how you keep the legacy going. It's continue to keep your life going. I'm referencing Nipsey Hussle a lot, but he says in a song, Racks in the Middle, and y'all got to tune in, he said some crazy thing. And I was like, yo, I could relate, and I hope y'all tune into that song. But it's like, you got to continue to live life for those gone. I put it on my Instagram story all the time, like, for the ones gone, hashtag for the ones gone, because you got to, that's how they living. It's through you. You're now, like, when people see you, they see the ones gone. You're representing them now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I agree.
And so, like, how did your, like, mother pass away?
It was out of the blue. It was a curveball. You know, she was a healthy woman. Yeah, she was diabetic. She had high blood pressure, but everything was controlled. And the next thing you know, she was cooking for my dad one day, and she cut her finger, her pinky, a little cut. She neglected it for 5 days, and the next thing you know, it went to sepsis. And then sepsis went into pneumonia, and the pneumonia went into aplastic anemia, which is her bone marrow just stopped producing red blood cells. So, you know, she was there she couldn't breathe because of the pneumonia, so they had to intubate her. And they put her in a medical coma. And then the next thing you know, within a week or two, finally her red blood cells went up. You know, we were celebrating. Yes, you know, God is good, God is great.
And you finally got that hope.
Right, the hope. It's about hope, and we kept our hopes up. You know, and I said this, Ma. You know, the last word she said to me, she looked at me with fear in her eyes. She said, "Dong means son." She said, "Dong, is this gonna hurt?" And I said to her, and I looked at her, and I wanted to cry at that moment. I said, "Ma, no, not at all. You'll be fine." I said, "Look, listen, I'll see you in a week. You know, I'll see you. Make sure you cook me my favorite food, lumpia." She's like, "All right," and she just nodded, and I was like. And that was the last word she said. And the next thing, the word before that, I said, "Make sure you take care of your sisters and your father." And I said, "I got you, Ma. Don't worry about it." I said, "Don't worry. Let's not talk about that." I said, "Let's not talk about that." And then that was it. And then from that, aplastic anemia went into platelets. So her platelets started dropping, her numbers. So her body couldn't clot. So she had a TIA, small stroke. People walk around with a TIA. Everybody walk around with a TIA. It's fine.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Right. But that night, that was the same week, that last week, she had a stroke. So we were still hopeful. I said, you know what, God is good. You know what, we prayed. We've been praying so much. You know, and then next thing you know, the next day, I think that Saturday night, she had another stroke. So funny because, you know, we were there every day. You know, we were there every day praying, you know, family support. My sisters were there. This one was there. But it wasn't enough. You know, it wasn't enough. Our love and power and prayers wasn't enough, but it's okay. And I understood that now. So with that being said, even the PA came to us and showed us the CT scan of her brain, and it was just her brain was full of blood. You know, it was, and she started crying, and I felt bad at one moment. She's like, you know, you don't have to cry, it's okay, because I've somewhat accepted it, and I knew this was coming because, you know, we would talk about it in front of the house. She's like, you know, Dong, when the time comes, you make sure you don't put me in that machine because I don't want, you know, it's time for, because, you know, it's time for me to go. God is calling me, and that's what it was. God is calling me, and that's why I respected her wishes. I said, and my sister at one point, Maria, my oldest girls, she was like, April, she's like, when we put her in a machine, I said, no, for what? That's for selfish reasons. You're going to let the machine breed for her and then just, you know, deteriorate in front of us? So I told her, no, Mom, I'm going to respect Mom's word. I said, once, this is it. This is the end of the world. This is the end of the road. I said, you know, this is time. Right. So she was like, so the PA started crying, and she's like, we have to make her comfortable. And at that time, I'm like, wow, comfortable. And I just took a deep breath, and my dad looked at me and said, well, whatever you guys want to do, you know, you and your mom are very close, because me and my mom's relationship were like best friends, you know. And I said, and I told her, well, let's make her comfortable. And from that moment on, she lived for another 24 hours, I remember. And she was just holding on to something, you know. And my son was young at that time, so he couldn't go upstairs to see her. But when it was time to let go in that comfortable stage, they let her in. So they let him in, and my son's mom and grandma. And finally, that night, you know, we were just sitting in the family, we're laughing, you know. I know she heard us, you know what I'm saying? Like, she was there, but she wasn't there. You know, her body was there, her mind was there, but she couldn't just speak, you know, she couldn't talk to us. And we were just laughing, enjoying, sharing stories. And I think she was waiting for that moment. You know, she was waiting for that moment. And that morning, you know, I slept by her, and me and my baby sister, Fatima. And at that moment, it was 8:57, and I hear her agonal breathing. Agonal breathing is basically, it's like, it's agonal breathing. So with that being said, I was like, so I turned around to Fatima. I said, Boo, make sure you call your sisters. Mama's not going to make it for another hour. I knew she wasn't going to make it within a couple of minutes, but I didn't want her to, you know, see her that. See her that. So I said, make sure, go outside, call your sisters, and tell them to come ASAP. And the next thing you know, 8:57 in that morning, man, February 1st, she took her last breath, and you could see in her lips just life left her. And at that moment, man, my whole world break down. You know, I was trying to hold myself up, not crying. You know, I'm like, you know, I'm strong, I'm good, I'm all right, I'll be all right. You know, I see death all the time, you know, in my job, but nah,
this one hit different.
Nah, it hit different.
That's your world. I know. Like, I feel that, and this all like this whole thing, your mother, like, all happened because she got a cut. Yeah. Like, that was the root cause of it.
Yeah, that's it.
And maybe like I'm not trying to.
She was diabetic.
Because she was diabetic, and it, you know, she got infected, and you know, she neglected it. She had a fever for 5 days because she was so prideful. So, she was like, "Don't worry about me. Man. I'm fine."
And
you know,
and that's like right there, right? And that's what like. And that's why you gotta be on top of everything on your health, and you gotta learn how to just respect your health and like,
respect your body.
You respect your body by all means. And I'm not trying to like shame your mother, nothing like that, because like it's the same sense with me. Like when I had this tumor and I had this growth in my back. My mother saw it, and I was so stuck on playing like football and like making it to play college football, and I did, and going to college, and it was just growing in me, and I just like, oh, it don't hurt, it's nothing. Yeah. And it got really bad. And when I saw when my father went through, because if he probably went earlier, he could have been good.
Yeah.
Then boom, it was too late. And then with me, I was like, oh shoot, like, no, I gotta be on top of my health by all means. And then thank God it wasn't cancer, because that thing like grew massively. Like I had some ribs removed, reconstruction in my back. I still feel it numb in certain areas still. And then with your mother, it's like from a cut. And
to
you not
to pneumonia to you just back to back. And that, you know what, to be honest with you, that was God telling us, I'm sorry, it's time. You know, it's time to go. And then my mom always say, listen, I want you to pray. She said, I want you to pray. She was a religious Catholic woman, and she said, I want you to pray every day and say thank, and I pray every night with my son, and say thank God for the life that you have, because you never know. You never know when God takes you. And with that being said, there's no say, hey, God, wait, let me get 2 seconds. Let me say bye to my kid. Let me say bye to my loved ones because there is no. When it's time to go, it's time to go. Yeah, there is no second chance. There is no 10 seconds. Give me 10 seconds. Let me say bye to everybody. No, there is no.
Right. But that's why it's so important to be present with yourself and be on point, be proactive, because certain things if you wait too late, the opportunity fades and it could lead to substantial consequences.
Yeah.
And it happened with my grandpa. Like they're like, he had a cold, and the nursing aides at the nursing home were like, oh, it's none. And he's an old man with all these conditions. Right. Like if he's having a cough or something, nah, that's like emergency protocol 101. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? No, it's not no big deal. You gotta be on top of it. If it don't get better by the next day, I already need to send him to the hospital. So boom, a week two later, he gets worse and worse. They finally send him to the hospital. You know what the doctor says? Oh, he's pneumonia, but he probably wouldn't have had it if he came here earlier.
Right.
And then my grandpa probably would have been still living to this day. Who knows?
But it was time to go.
Yeah, who knows? And I don't even want, because, And so when your mother, right, when that happened, and then boom, everything changed.
Everything changed. My world went upside down.
And then boom, right? So what went on with your head? You said, all right, I'm working the EMS 15 years.
I was just working. I was just showing up to work. And it's so funny because my Captain Merens, actually told me, he was like, a week later, I went back to work because I wanted to be busy. I wanted to be mentally busy because I didn't want to carry all this weight. I said, you know what? Maybe I keep my mind busy and keep going with my life. I'd be fine. Of course, the second day I went back, there was a cardiac arrest. We were pumping on somebody's chest. And he hit me again. I was like, wow, maybe I need a break.
Yeah, it's too fresh,
maybe I need to change. Maybe I need to change. And my mom's voice kept replaying and playing. So you don't die with regrets. Don't die with regrets. I regret my life. Not you guys. I love you guys. She would always tell me, I love you guys. I regret my life for not doing the things I want to do in life. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, you know what? I said, you know what? I love fitness. This is how I got to it. So I said, I love fitness. I always wanted to open my own gym. This 6 years ago, I was like, damn, I'm going to open my gym one day. And I got lost. I got lost in the sauce. Lost in life. Relationship, life, work. I need to do overtime. I need to catch up to this bill. Like everybody got bills. Everybody got stress. It's how you deal with it. It's what's important in your life. I have a lot of things going on in my life right now. I have the gym. As a gym owner, I have, I'm a boyfriend. I'm a big brother. I'm a father. But at the same time, what's important to you? Make time for what's important to you and what's important now. Because you know what? Pleasing this one, pleasing that one out of your circle, that's not going to add value to life. Always spend time with the people that add value in your life.
You have to, man. Talk.
Get rid of all the negative shit in your life. If people don't add value in your life, get rid of them because it's just toxic in your. It's just toxic in your energy. Yeah, you're just wasting energy. We don't have a lot in this world. We don't.
So I was gonna say, I do have a question for you, and this might be a hard question because clearly we don't know what the outcome would have been. So just hypothetically speaking, right?
I know where you're going.
So just hypothetically speaking, if the consequences were different and your mother was still here with us today, do you think you would be exactly where you were, or would you still be in this comfortable, quote unquote, life that you said you were living?
Right off the bat, comfortable. I would be still comfortable. 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%.
And why do you say that? So why do you say that? I'm curious to know the mentality behind that.
Because I was so comfortable. I was a 35-year-old. I had a son already, and my mom like, no, you know what? You're broke. It's okay. I'll give you money. She was still giving me money. I'm like, Mom, I don't need money, but all right, I'll take the money.
I'll use this later. I got
it, Mom. I know it. I'll borrow it. Let me borrow $200, Mom. There's that comfortable state. But all the teaching, all the the sacrifices she did, I wouldn't have not used it. All the lessons she gave me in life that I didn't learn. I got smack in the back of my head. I didn't know what it was for, but now I know. Now I know as a father and literally having, teaching my son, her teaching, her ways. It's like, wow, now I know why my mom smacked the shit out of me. You know what I mean?
And I think, like, to your point, I think a lot of people could really soak that in and say, like, they should look at what they have currently in front of them, their parents, mom, dad, or whoever's with them, and really look at their life and ask their parents, like, hey, like, what are the things that you have regretted in your life? I think that's a big question that not many people ask. Like, what are the things you regret? I don't think I've ever asked my mom or my dad, like, what are the things that you have regret in your life that you haven't done?
I think there's something better. It's not about what are the regrets, right? It's not about that. It's about listening.
Yeah.
listening, right? Because a lot of times you get the signs. People are trying to warn you. People are trying to foreshadow you and lead you upon the right path. People are always trying to give game. And what do people do? Yeah, you know what? You're right.
Yeah, bro, they take their
get
time for
comfortable.
granted. They
Yeah,
get time
no,
for granted.
get
but they say
comfortable.
this. Oh, yeah, you're right. And then the next minute they forget about it. Yeah, I'll think about it. Yeah. You keep on trying to tell them and you're warning them. Keep on warning them.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, I'm going to stop warning you because you're not taking no action. Sometimes I had to do it with Casey. Give him a whole bunch of game and just fly over his head until some other dude randomly tells him, and he's like, yo, Ethan, guess what? You know what? The dude was right. I was like, I told you that a year ago, champ.
But I think it's a natural human.
But then it's like it is a natural human thing because a lot of us unfortunately need to get smacked in the face hard.
Well, that's
and
what
need to
mom
go-
smacked the shit out of me.
And God,
No pun intended. No
Yeah.
pun intended.
No,
Right.
but then God humbles you in
Nah,
in a very
definitely,
extreme way. Cause
Yeah.
right, I thought I was humble, right?
Yeah.
Then my father passed, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
Then this, that, and the fourth, and all this other stuff after that, I could go on for days happened. I was like, whoa. And I was like, oh, okay, now now it's really starting to set in.
You're so funny you said that because, 8 months into it, I remember when, we were having fun. We were finally talking about my mom because, when somebody dies, you don't want to talk about them because you don't want to bring bad memories or just the memory itself.
You don't want to like open
Open your can of worms.
open that scar.
So finally November comes. I was like, same year. I was like, wow, mom, remember at that time, mom, we were hanging out with the family, and the next thing you know, on 73rd Street, we were living. Somebody knocked, a detective knocked, and he said, looking for Sarah Oyongoran, Belingo, which is my cousin. I said, where's your mom? So my cousin went to the door and said, where's your mom? And she's like, my mom's here. I said, my mom's not here, but how can I help you? He's like, well, we have some bad news. My cousin killed himself. And I was like, wow. It was like a fucking curveball again. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, we're just getting over the hump, a big ass hump in the family. And boom, my cousin killed himself. And it's so funny because when I see my cousin, and I always tell him, I was like, yo, cuz, you good? He's like, yeah, you good. He was from the Philippines. We don't know why he killed himself. We will never find out. But the thing was, it was like he was, quote, going to work from October all the way to November or December. And where the hell was he going? What was going through his mind? And a lot of people tend to do this in the Filipino community. It's very taboo to talk about your feelings as a man. And, now, let me not say not just Filipino, a man itself, it's very taboo. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you're a man, you can't talk about your depression. You can't talk about your what you're sad about, you can't talk about your relationship. That's why a lot of men we have such big egos. Because they're like, oh, I'm good, I'm all right. But at the same time, you're drinking your ass off, you're drinking your life away. So with that being said, we hit that wall, and then from there, it was just like, fuck.
We might as well just give you all three mics at this point. Like, you could take all three mics at this point. Like you could take over the podcast.
That's a fact though, man. But like with me, it's like I think that has to do with confidence and just like being confident in yourself. Like regardless, like I never really cared about what other people thought about me. Like I'm gonna express myself by all means, whether it's through the highs, the lows, the middles, what I'm going through, because it's normal. Yeah. And I said this earlier in the pod, like it's normal. Like don't think you're lesser of someone because you're feeling that way. Like it's normal, man. You got to let it out. You got to vent it out because if you keep it bottled in, it would drive you nuts.
And you know what? To be honest with you, I'm very grateful and happy that I always have my family. And I think a lot of people, when you come down to it, it's family foundation. It's all about foundation. Anything you do in life, foundation. Building, have 4 foundation, right? One of that falls, guess what's going to happen? The whole building's going to fall. Right. Yes. And to me, family is so important. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I know a lot of people have a lot of emotions. Oh, fuck this one, fuck that one. Yo, let it go, man. Let it go because, your time is so precious. You never know. So my cousin could have been going through a lot and could have spoke to us. Mm-hmm. But he has so much pride that he can't talk about it.
Right. Yeah. Or we don't know. Right. Or he was just scared.
Right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Fear is a really big thing.
Fear is crazy because then you could be battling against yourself.
Fear of failure.
Like that wall. Right? You could just be like, I don't know. And then like when you come safety, like, you know what? Nah, I'll just keep it bottled in. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready to just let go off the deep end without a life jacket, right?
Yeah. He was literally dressing up He's a nurse in a nursing home, and he was going to work. Like he was going to work from whatever time it was. He was depressed to all the way to December, and the next thing you know, he just jumped off Jamaica Bay water area, and we were wondering he hasn't showed up in 2 days. So, and that was it. And that after that December, of course, we buried him. I buried my cousin, and then that April, that next year, my house went on fire.
Oh my God!
It was like fuck. It's like it's like damn. When it pours, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you have. And again, it comes down to family again. You know what I'm saying? Because at that time, I remember, I think April 4th, the house burnt down. And then April 6th, we had a Texas family, a whole family trip with my family, my other family, my sister, my uncles, my aunts. And I said, you know what do we have to lose? Stay here and what? Stay where? We have no house. We have no home. So literally we just laughed. I said, you know what? Fuck it. We would meet up in Starbucks and like literally sit down and said, what are we going to do? What's the next move? And I said, you know what? Fuck it. We already got the tickets to go to Texas. Let's go to visit my cousin Kathy. So we went and we had a good time. It was a little weird because, there was a lot of trauma, back to back to back to back. And I said, you know what? They just enjoy each other. So especially for the kids at that time, they know death, but they don't know death.
Yeah.
So we just wanted my son to have fun, my little cousin, just enjoy that moment because, it's.
And I think to even relate to both of you guys, I know I say this often, and maybe I haven't gotten like into that much detail about this, but like, so you guys know, obviously I was on a combat tour in Afghanistan. So, when you guys said that you guys were really in like that, kind of like that little bit like that fog where everything like stood still. I really don't talk too much about this that very often, but when I saw my friends get blown up, there was this moment where after everything happened and we helped, save all their lives and we made sure they were all stabilized. It really looked like a movie moment in my head. It really looked like a movie, like Call of Duty. It really looked just like that. And it was very, in my head at the time when I first processed everything, I was like, this is my job. Like, this is what I got to do. And then like I took a step back and like a lot of my friends like noticed over there that I was just like a little out of it. And they were like, you good? And I was like,
you're here, but you're not here.
I was like, I don't know. Like, I just think I need like a break to just sit down and relax. Like,
take a deep breath.
I'm gonna go to work, but like, just leave me alone in my room for like a little bit. Like, I'm just gonna chill out,
decompress.
And there was a good like loophole and wormhole I went into for about 2 weeks after I saw all my friends get blown up and some get taken away, like back home, because it hit me completely differently. And I went into this wormhole, and I know you guys talk about death and religion, right? So. Like for me, I always question, just not that I don't believe in God or anything, but sometimes I question religion in my own head because I'm a very big believer of just, I have to see it to believe it sometimes. But that's just me because I'm just a very logical person. And I went into this really, really, really deep wormhole where I couldn't figure out what happens after death.
Right.
Because I was scared to die. Right. After seeing all that, fear took control for a good 2 weeks. And my friends were like, are you good? And I was like, no, like I'm literally losing my mind because I can't figure out what happens after death. But there was just a point where I just came to the conclusion to myself that like I'll just never know what happens after we die until we die. And like I really couldn't figure it out. And like I said, it took me a while when I even got home to transition to that point because I struggled to transition. I felt extremely isolated and no one I felt like could relate to me.
Right.
And I literally battled with demons every day in my head, even though I looked fine on the outside, not to a point where I wanted to kill myself because I'm scared to death. I don't think I could ever do that. I don't think I could personally ever do that, right? And I'm going to say never because that's just not me. Like I have a great foundation. I have people around me, right? But I got home and that isolation, all the demons I was battling, I couldn't figure out how to get out of it until I really came to a closure after watching a million videos and reading a book about what can possibly happen after we die. And I had to come to terms with myself and really talk myself down and say, I'll never know what happens, but when that time comes, I know I'm just going to have to accept it because there's literally no going back at that point. And sometimes to your point, these scars do open up again. And a lot of these times they make me thinking. So when I got back home a couple months later, someone I was cool with and I spoke to over there all the time, looked like a nice guy, normal. He always supported me, everything I did, music, my mom's candle business. And then I figured out like 2 weeks later, he killed himself.
Wow,
And it clearly goes to show you that everyone's always going through something. Just because we were in combat and we were all in war over there doesn't mean the battle ends even when you're home. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand, especially with veterans. And like till this day, there are times where I even freak out, but like now I can genuinely say like I've came to the conclusion myself where I've accepted everything that happened and I have to learn how to move forward.
Right.
And now I'm going to keep doing me because I know there are people who didn't make it.
Right.
And I'm going to do it for them
Yeah.
on top of doing it for my family.
Damn, Case, man.
That's deep.
I had so much things to follow up on, man. But like, oh man, that was, I had to say, damn, on my time. But look, you said battles, right? Every day that you wake up, every day that you're free, you won a battle already. You already won. And the only battle that you got to win is within your head. But in reality, like, you already won. You already won. Now it's just about
still
winning.
here.
Yeah, it's
We're
just
still
about
here.
winning more. Most of the time, we put in all the pressure on ourselves, and you got to just learn how to like control what you can, Casey, and just tell other people like you can't be thinking about what is this, what is that. Control what you can, and what you can't control, you gotta leave it to the side, right? Like Vincent said, like you can't please other people. That's something you can't control. The only thing you can control is how you act and how you move. The rest, let it be to God. You gotta let go and let God, because if you're trying to handle everything else, you're gonna go crazy. You can only do so much. Be in the moment, be present. Of course, have a long-term outlook, but like the things that you don't have the answer to yet, just have faith that you will figure it out sooner.
You'll figure it out.
That's it. Or just let it be and just work on what you can work out, and then the solution or the thought process will come to mind soon. That's that.
Just keep working on yourself, man.
Yeah.
Just keep working.
And even like just to, kind of not end on this point or anything like that, but to relate to everything I think we're saying, I've actually been reading this book, and it's about leadership and vulnerability and how being a vulnerable leader is extremely important to lead. And she brings up this one point where you have to be soft in the front but strong in the back.
Right.
And
Pause.
pause. No, but like I think that's a very interesting point, because you can take that as a leadership perspective, but that can also be a double-edged sword where, you can be soft in the front and look very approachable and very nice, but in the back, you never know what happened to this person. They're going through so much. They might have so much weight on their shoulders, and it's important to not lash out, take that out, and show that to other people, because you don't want to be that person that's taking out everything on everyone.
Right. And that's the same case again for Vincent, right?
Yeah.
So boom. Did my little scout report. And but with Vince, when I met Vincent, man, he was just so joyful all the time that I met him. Always show love to me on the field. But I never really knew his story or whatnot. But like I'm like, nah, there's something more to him. And look, I figured it out. And I just never know. But that's why whenever like I approach people, like I always just try to be open-ended, and I don't try to judge, because it's like, who am I to judge? I don't know what you've been through. I don't know how much what your journey was, what it took for you to get here. Like, who am I? Like, who am I to, you know what I'm saying? Like, pick point, say this, down, and forth about you, when I don't even really know about nothing much about you.
Right.
Yeah.
And you just gotta really have the respect, and it comes down to humility and being humble.
That's
Yeah.
it, man.
That's it.
And I think we're all gonna, face tragedy and, overcome with triumph. And I think honestly, it all comes down to how you take it. It's all about how you react overall and how you're gonna overcome it and rise on top.
Right. I feel like we could keep going for hours and hours, like for real. But Vincent, I definitely do want to give you flowers. Like, I took down a lot of gyms as well, because, right, what you said is there's always like something. And he kept on getting, it was something else. Like, right, after my mother, it was this. Then after that, it was this.
Yeah.
And then I guarantee you, after that, it was something else. And the same with me, and the same with Casey. But life keeps on going.
You have to keep going.
Yeah, and it's
There's
always
no stopping.
And life is up and down. The waves, it's like a waves, just up and down, like the stock market.
But
up
that's what life's all about. You have to live and learn.
And so everything, right? So after all this, did you reach one of your goals, and what is your business now?
Yeah, well, I mean, I reached my goal. Thank God, man. I mean, bust my ass for it.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, well, you know what? You're good now because you have a gym now. No, I bust my ass to get there. It's so funny because I left fire department before the pandemic. So I had no job during the pandemic. I was like, damn, what did I? And you made me think twice. It's like, damn, should I go back to the fire department and work and work again? Because I have no job right now. So a month or 2 months later, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back to the roots, where work out in the field. So I started working out in the field. I started training. I had clients already. I had opened up a little small business, literally a 200 square.
I seen it.
Right.
In Sunset, right?
In Sunset, my homegirl Viviana
Like a
gave me
little
that.
box. It
Right,
was like a little box.
It's a
I'm like,
box. It's probably smaller than this.
Yeah, before I knew Vincent, I seen it, and I was starting to get to know him. I'm like, a little box. I'm like, how is he
Right.
training people
Yeah.
in that? But you made it happen.
I made it happen. It's so funny at that time. I had clients. It's like, nah, Vince, let's do 5 people inside, 5 people outside. It's like, oh, let's do that. So 5 people inside, and we run around the block with slam balls, and we made it happen. I made it work. You had to be a chameleon. You had to be a chameleon in life. You have to adapt. You have to adapt and grow. Because if I didn't, I would have been stuck. I still been stuck in fire department right now. So with that being said, I was on the field, and I was like, damn, all right, cool. Let's train in the field. It's free. There was no rent. So I just took that chance, and I met this dude Frank, pro boxer, awesome guy, man. He had a lot of energy, he had a lot of fire in him. He has his own demons, of course, like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But at that time, one time, he was like, I looked at him. He's like, we were training, and I was like, yo, we should do a class together. He does boxing. I do a total body. It's like, yo, we should do a class together. I was like, let's do it. And right off the bat, the energy, me and him were just like a tennis ball, bounce back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And one day I was training like 5 clients, and he was training like 8 clients. And I like a boot camp for him. I said, yo, Frank, we should do a class together. And the next thing you know, it grew from 5 people to 10 to 20 to 12. And we generated literally 247 clients during the pandemic. And that's
crazy.
Yeah, that was right there, just proven. I said, you know what? We had no overhead. Let's just keep going with this. As long as we write it, and we met some cool people. We met some awesome people, which is friends of mine now. We met this lady Vanessa, which is, I didn't know who she was from the wall. I was just being nice. Say, hey, I would see her walk around the track, and I was like, hey, Miss, do you want to come and work out with us? First workout's free, or the second workout's free. Don't worry about it. Just try it out. Try this out. So finally, she's like, you know what? Do you do personal training? I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we did it, and she started doing the class, and she started telling all her friends in Bay Ridge. I didn't know this lady at all, but her connection, her network was so big.
Yeah.
All
it takes is that one person who knows mad heads.
Right.
Like,
And it was like, I was so grateful for her. And she was like, well, I know this guy, Tommy, and Tommy is a Hit Factory. And I was like, oh, okay. And at that time, I was already going back to school. Everybody was going back.
It was transitioning.
Yeah, it was transitioning to back to reality somewhat.
Yeah.
So me and Frank looked at each other. I'm like, damn, man, we're fucked. That's him. Maybe this is it. And I was like, nah, it can't be it, Frank. So he was like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna call Tommy. I'm gonna text Tommy, because Tommy had approached him. He's like, I'm gonna text Tommy and say, what's up? I was black as hell. My skin was dark. Frank was dark, and we're just I'm Filipino, he's Spanish, but we look black because we were every day on the field, 110 degrees,
Yeah,
rain or shine. We were training there.
I seen it.
We were crazy, and people would look at us and say, you guys are crazy. You guys are gonna get stopped. You guys are gonna get arrested, because people were scared.
Hey, man,
You know what I'm saying? Right. You guys are gonna get arrested. I'm like, fuck that. Until they arrest us, we're gonna keep working out. And that's what I did. I took all my studio equipment, bought it, and I was literally carrying 200 pounds in my truck, in and out every day and night.
the hustle there.
Right. And it was I said, fuck it, we're gonna do this. And we just generated clients. And the next thing you know, when that road and Vanessa was a good friend of Tommy, and they were like, you know what, can I bring these 2 guys? And then Vanessa, Tommy was like, you know what? The only I'm gonna make you partner, but only you, Vanessa. And I was like, damn, And then Vanessa was like, no, I'm going to bring these guys. You can't pull me up here without these 2 guys. She was our hook. Without her, we wouldn't be up there. Our hard work did get us to the end of that road, to that door. But there's always that one person. And this is why you gotta be nice to everybody, man. You never know who you meet. You
always
never
treat everyone how you want to be
right,
treated.
You never know who you meet. And from that moment on, we got up there, and we just, for that first 2 weeks, we just generated about 90 clients. And Tommy saw that. I said, oh, wow, these guys got something good going. And the next thing you know, he's like, you know what? 3 weeks into it, a month into it, he's like, you guys want to be partners? And me and Frank, we're just some kids from, he was from Red Hook, I was from Sunset Park.
Right.
I'm like, all right, cool, let's go. What do we have to lose? We have nothing to lose, but a lot to gain. And that's what we did. That was our mentality at that time, is we have nothing to lose, but a lot to gain, and we did. We did. So with that being said, we just generated 80 something clients within that first year. Within that first year, and that's where I'm at now. You know what I mean? It was a great journey. You like I said, you meet people for a reason, and then you never know your purpose. You won't know your purpose until you serve them. I met Vanessa, I met Frank, and everybody it was just like a ladder. A bridge over bridge and top of bridge and top of bridge. And like I said, just be nice to everybody because you never know who they know. And that was it.
And I think it's crazy how you originally were a firefighter serving. And then
EMS.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. You said fire department. I automatically assumed.
Yeah.
No, so I think it was crazy how you were EMS serving people and like really giving life back to people. Right. And like now you giving back to the community, giving life and changing their life
in a different light.
In a different light, absolutely. And like it's crazy because in a way they're very similar, and you're changing people's lives for the better now.
Thank
God,
and
I think that's something that a lot of people take.
And that has to go back to my mother, her sacrifices. Where I was 7 years old in the Philippines, she would be like, you know what, it's okay, I don't have a lot of money, but here's 125 pesos. Go to karate. So I was going to karate, swimming, guitar lessons. She was always keeping me busy.
Nice.
And it's so funny, and I'm grateful for that because now all that martial arts that I do, I can teach kickboxing, I can do this, I can do that, I can play basketball, I can teach this class, because of my mom's sacrifices.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And your mom just being there for you in
Right.
general. I mean, shit. I want to give a special shout out to my mother because my mother is allowing me to live the dream. Shout out to my mom, Dukes. I love you. You letting me go all money in. There's not a day that go by that I'm not thankful for you. I love you so much because you allow me just to live.
Yeah.
Just live. So shout out to my mom. Shout out to all the mothers out there that let your children just live. And we appreciate
shout out to
your
all the moms.
sacrifice, all you have done. Shout out to all the parents.
There is nothing like a mom's love. I always say that. There's nothing like a mom's love, man.
Nothing like that.
So my dog loves my grandma.
I mean,
that's why my dog loves my mom more than me, and I have it.
I mean, it's all love. And Vincent, your story, I feel like we could go on and on and on. I feel like
we could go for days.
I feel like it could be part 1, part 2, part 3. And I feel like for the viewers out there, I hope you learn a lot from the story.
Listen to learn from our pain. Learn from our pain.
Exactly. Like learn from our pain and don't let it be too late. Because then when it comes, you're gonna be like, oh shit.
Yeah, I wish I would have been nicer to my mom or my dad or this. Man, learn from our
pain. Live a life with no regrets and listen. I always say this, and I think we say this I think I've said this every episode, but there's 2 things in life that we can never get back. And that's time and people. Yeah. And those are the 2 things that make your life amazing.
Amen.
It's time and people.
I agree.
Amen. And like Vincent, I don't know if you have much more to speak about. I hope you got everything that you need to get out. If not, we might collab.
There's a lot more. There's a lot more in this.
But who knows? Brothers in the Deep End may collab with Hit Factory or Vincent or something on some workout. Stay tuned. We may have a community workout. Who knows?
Workout, why not?
Who knows? But I appreciate everyone that's tuning in. I appreciate the community.
Thank you guys.
Brothers in the Deep End. I appreciate Vincent because he took the time out to come. This was long overdue.
Yeah, amen.
Big shout out to my guy Mike Dolo, 4th Quarter Living right here. The shirt right here. You heard Mike. 4th Quarter Living. Big shout out to you. Big shout out to Hit Factory.
Thank you guys. Thank you
major
so much.
shout out. Big shout out to them.
Thank you to all those servicemen and women.
Word up.
Absolutely.
And with Vincent, if you want to tap in with Vincent, we'll drop the IG handles and all the website, all the links, and the YouTube, under the YouTube, also on the Instagram. Be sure to follow us and Brothers in the Deep End on Instagram. All handles Casey at caseyincle, me at Kick Class. If you want that one-on-one crazy personal training session where I'm gonna push you beyond your mental barriers, or if you want to with Vincent, you want to have a little bit more fun, go with him. He has the hit classes. Definitely tune in. I don't know if there's a special promotion going on.
There's always special promotion. Come down. Everybody's welcome.
So pop out and thank y'all. Much love. Appreciate y'all. God bless.
God bless, man. Amen.
We do this for you guys.
Look, moving different, you know I'm already custom made. Said you wanna play with me, there's just a different game. Trying to make it to the end, it's just a crazy maze. Here for the long, you know I'm about to make a play.